Your first food memory, the humble barbecued wagyu steak. Big in this part of our world.
Yes.
But it's linked to something very special.
Very, very special. I moved to the US 3 months before the pandemic hit. It's my dream job, New York City. And yeah, lo and behold, the pandemic hits. Unfortunately, because of the COVID restrictions in Australia, a lot of Australians couldn't come home for Christmas at the end of that year, 2020. And so we were out in the Hamptons in New York, and we had 10 of us in July, so the peak of summer in America. And we're like, why don't we just recreate an Aussie Christmas? And it was such a good day. So the next year, still very in the middle of COVID, we were in LA, but we were kind of at the tail end of it. Australia was in the thick of it then. And I was like, I'll do the same thing. I'm in Los Angeles. I looked at my Venice apartment and I was like, I think I could put a table down the middle and have like 20 people here. I started listing out who I'd invite, and the list was like 40, 45 people. And I was like, okay. Spoke to a friend of mine, and we went to a charity event, and it wasn't that good. And I go, hey, I've got an idea. We could raise some money for a charity, but why don't we do a mock Aussie Christmas Day, and we'll get Tourism Australia and a few of our friends to just pitch in, and we'll charge a ticket price, and let's just do it. Started putting it all together. Bang, we had 105 people for this lunch, and then that equaled another 100 people. Fast forward now 5 years later, we just finished our 5th year on the Santa Monica Pier, where we have 250 to 300 people dining in for a 4-course Australian lunch. And then we have 1,000 join them for a big party.
So who's doing all the cooking?
So we get 3 amazing chefs. We have Monty, who used to be at Icebergs, but then he was at EP and LP.
Yeah.
So we have Monty, Dan Churchill from New York City.
Yeah.
And then we have Michael Dane, who is a local, who he cooks for like Lady Gaga, the Jonas Brothers. He's like a celebrity chef. So we have 2 Aussies and American, they come together. But Monty curates the menu, but it's just Australian Wagyu. And then it is some Australian fish, some prawns as well, some great produce. And it's showing our American friends what a hot summer Christmas day is like with your friends and family. And it's very lo-fi, but dialed up in the essence of the food. And last year we had imported, Australian beef, this Wagyu, which was just melting. And everyone was just, their minds were blown by how good the Wagyu was. So for me, it's been a labor of love. It's been this event we put on every year. It nearly kills me every year when we do it. We almost break even. We raise a lot of money, though, for the Australian Wildlife Conservancy, and it's a labor of love.
Second food memory. Now, this is the easiest roast chicken on the skillet.
Yeah.
With crispy potatoes.
Yeah.
For our non-American cousins, tell us what a skillet is.
Good old cast iron. Good old cast iron. Is that an American term? It is, isn't it?
Yes.
Because when I got there, I was like, I've never heard of a skillet. And then I was like, oh, that's a skillet. Yeah, the cast iron. So basically, going to like our family Christmases, when we were younger, it was the whole shebang of all the food and, mum and my aunties and even like dad was a big cook actually. They were just, it was stressful. The food part was stressful. So then they're like, let's make it really simple. And we got to a point where everyone would just nail a dish, but grandma would always just get like KFC chickens as well as her thing. Not KFC, Red Rooster, rotisserie chickens. And it's almost like been a common gag now of our Christmas Day was the rotisserie chicken. And of course, growing up, you call it, the bachelor's handbag. Have you ever heard of that?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, as a uni guy, rotisserie chicken was, there's your protein while you're in the gym. So it was always like a staple in life. Once I moved to the US, I found out about Bon Appetit on YouTube, and there was an amazing chef that did a very, very simple chicken skillet cast iron where it's so simple. You just let the chicken, you let it sit for an hour and you pad dry all the juices, put some olive oil on it, put a bit of salt on it, open it up, put some salt in there, and then you chuck it on the hot skillet with some potatoes around the side with a bit of thyme and butter, and that is it. You chuck it in the oven and I don't know what happens, but it's so juicy. It is so tender and juicy.
Are you covering this chook at all?
No,
it's just like that.
It sits like that.
Bare chook.
Bare chook.
Butter, salt. Did you say butter?
Well, you put olive oil on it.
Right, okay.
Yeah, olive oil, a bit of salt. And then, no, that's honestly it. Let it sit out for an hour before putting it in. Then you put the potatoes, you like chop, 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 chop. And they're kind of like chips around the edges. And that is it. You put it, I swear, it is the greatest dish of all time.
Your third food memory, this is This is fantastic, this one. It's called the Community Croissant, and it's made with Christmas ham.
Yeah.
What is
Yeah,
this
you're
one?
like, what is going on there? So this is, speaking of like ambition, and this might be too woo-woo for a lot of people around the world, but we get a crew, whoever's around at the time, at the end of the year.
Where do these crews and people come from? Like, is your like address book like just chockers?
It's long. It's
Right.
long. But it's people that come and go that might move to LA, or I meet in Sydney, or I meet in New York, or, it's just meeting new people is exciting and it's great. So, people that live in our area, we'll put the word out to a select few, and then we get together at the end of the year. And my friend Sandy, who's French, in Los Angeles, he basically hosted last year. So it's like end of the year, I think it was 5 of us in his apartment, and he cooked us fresh croissants, and we had leftover Christmas ham that we put in the croissants. So we ate these, and then we did this experiment. Not experiment, it was like an exercise that we've been doing for the last 3 years now. And it's kind of just, I think all of us get caught up in the speed of life and like, the highs and lows of it all, that we forget to like reflect on what we've done in the last year. So we have blank pieces of paper. You get your phone out and you start in your camera roll at January, and you literally go through all your photos really quickly, and you write down highs and lows of the month. So you're like the highest highs of January, bang, 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 the lows. And having a camera roll, you remember things, it reminds you of things you've forgotten about. So you're like January, February, all the way through. And that takes about 2 hours, honestly, to go through it all. You also go through your calendar just to see if you've missed anything. So like there'll be moments there where you're having breakups, and you reflect on your whole year. You've written it out in front of you, and you look for the common threads of the highs, and you're like, what do I want more of next year? And you can see it straight away. And you're like, what do I want less of? When I was having my lows throughout the year, is there a common thread in there? You write those down as well.
So where's the croissant in your hand?
Well, it's already gone. That was gone. That was like going to the cinema with popcorn, and the film hasn't started. You finished it. I think I was on to my third by that point. So the warm croissants are consumed. We've done our reflection, and there's a few other steps in the exercise, and you end up coming up with like a word for the next year. What sort of, from summarizing all that, like what do you want to live by for the next year? And it's really nice because I actually get those pieces of paper out 2 or 3 times throughout the year, just when I'm like, things aren't going my way, or like, your year's not exactly where you want it to be. And you're like, hang on, let's look at last year again. You're like, far out. I did have a bloody good year last year. And like already you forget like how much you achieve in a year. Like all of us, all those little things, they add up to then you have like a highlights reel of your year where you're like, damn, we're all actually living a good life. I mean, some people have shocking years and there's a lot of heartache and a lot of pain in their year, but throughout that, there still will be a few little highs here and there. And so it's really important to like look at those and then go, all right, and look forward again.